So while you are So let me say that today's class is kind of really rooted in it emerges out of much of the conversation that was happening in the chat on the stream last week, especially on Thursday. Okay, so are we good? Okay. And so we're going to talk about genetics and social inequality. This is the last day we're going to talk about social inequality. And when I say that, I mean the inequality with sociological factors, so social, economic, etc. Okay? And there was a lot of conversation on the stream about genetics and how in the end it all boils down to genetics. Okay? So first off, I guess we should introduce the three of you. So why don't you say hello? Yep, you're good.
Hello everyone, my name is Shadi. I'm from China. Yeah.
Where are you from in China?
Wuhan.
Wuhan? Ah, Wuhan. The source. Do you carry that with you like this everywhere you go? Does everyone do what I just did? Oh, Wuhan. Oh. Yeah? Or no? How about in China? Do you feel do people from Wuhan carry a certain kind of burden because of COVID or not?
I don't really think so.
Yeah? All right. Okay, well, let me not, build that up any more than it isn't. All right, man.
Hi, everyone. I'm Tanner. I'm a fourth-year computer engineering student. I'm from Bethlehem, PA.
All right.
Hi, everyone. My name is Shreya. I'm from Central Jersey, and I'm a third year.
Where in Central Jersey?
Edison.
Edison. I know Edison. All right. Of course, Edison. You're Indian. Where else would you be from? All right. Edison is like little India. There are more Indians in Edison than in Mumbai. All right. So
Wait, come on, can I make it better? My parents moved there before it became mini India.
Oh, so they followed you.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, that's cool. So your parents must be cool. That's how it was with my wife and I had a Portuguese water dog, and no one even knew what they were until the Obamas found out we had a Portuguese water dog, and then they got one, and then everybody had a Portuguese water dog. All right. So let's go to the next slide. So you all, we're just going to kind of work together here today. All right. So remember these data, right? When you look. Question that I have for you is like, how did you guys, when we were having this conversation, did at any point you all think that maybe people are just wired differently in our genetics, in our DNA? At any point did you think that? Like, because you look at these great differences here. Did you think it at all?
I don't really think so.
You didn't? At some point you didn't look at this and say, hey, maybe us Asians are just a little bit, we're just wired genetically.
I just feels like a lot of rich Asians just immigrate to the US. I feels like that.
Yeah, so it's more of that. So you were thinking that. How about the two of you? Did you go?
No, I didn't really think that.
Yeah? Shreya?
I didn't think that either.
But could you though? Did you not think it because it's racist to think it? Or did you just really not think it? Because people on the live stream were thinking it. So I'm thinking if people on the live stream were thinking, and I knew that because Jamie, was talking in my ear throughout class, telling me, because this is an earpiece I wear, that I'm talking to my team, one of whom is in Maryland and one of whom is in Lancaster. And they're telling me what's happening on the stream while I'm in class. And so on the stream, a lot of people were talking about genetics, man. But you all weren't doing that. Okay, all right. So the question is but people are wired differently, right? Genetically speaking. Like, do you have roommates? You're a fourth year. You don't have roommates?
I do have roommates.
Do you all have these different kind of personalities that
Yeah.
at some level do you think that's just genetic, man? That's not.
No, I think it's like we're all from out of state, but like different states. So I think it's like how we grew up, and also like, yeah.
How about you? Do you have?
Yeah, I got a roommate from Beijing and a roommate from Taiwan.
Yeah.
I feels like there's a lot of difference between us.
Yeah. How much of it do you think is really wired into them?
I don't really know. I don't really. I got a white roommates when I was a freshman,
Yeah.
and it feels there's a lot of difference at how we treat things. I
Okay.
think.
So, but that you're looking more at sociology. So let me just say this: if you have more than one child, and you can all think about your families, more than one child, the children grow up with the same parents, the same. If unless you have step siblings or something like this, you have the same man, the same woman contributing sperm and egg, and they make a child. But every child's different. You ask any mother or any father, it's like these children are different. One comes out of the womb screaming and hollering, and the other comes out of the room really quiet. And 30 years later, the quiet one is still quiet, and the one that's screaming and hollering is still screaming and hollering. This kind of stuff, right? So you ask any parent about the power of genes in shaping the behavior of individuals, and the parent will say, absolutely, man. I saw it from the first day I held my child, right? This kind of thing. Okay, not everybody, but that's not uncommon, okay? So that's at the individual level. But now we want to look at groups. So then the question becomes, okay, well, if that's true of individuals, why isn't it true of groups? That we could look at these groups like this and say, like, well, some people are just wired a little bit differently than other people, right? So have you guys thought about that? This is out there. So, I mean, I'm asking you a closed-ended question, but do you have anything you would contribute to that? Is that completely foreign to you? I'm asking you these closed-ended questions. So do you have anything to say about that? You don't have to. We can move on. We good? All right, we'll move on. All right, go to the next slide. So when I look at this, this was a slide we used the other day, enrollment of the top high schools based on test scores. Look at where Asians are 73% of Stuyvesant High School. And the students in New York City who are black and Hispanic, they make up 3.5% of all the students at Stuyvesant High School. Like, how do you not get to a place where at some level you're thinking, that is such a great difference, it's such a vast difference, that genetics at some level must be involved? Do you see how you could think genetics is involved? There's something about Asians. It's not like it's 30% for Asians and 28% for blacks and Hispanics. It's like 73 and 3.5. So I want to ask you this question very clearly. Do you understand how we might get to the place where we say, yeah, genetics has to be part of this? Do you got it?
I will say it's not about the genetic.
No, and it's not about that. Do you understand how you could conclude that it's genetics? Yeah, you don't see that? The two of you would shake your head yes?
I see where you can get that from, but I'm like, I don't think that's like the prime idea.
Okay, it's not the prime thing, but you see how you could conclude that it's part of it.
Yeah.
Because this is the problem. When we're having these conversations, people are watching the stream and they're going like, dude, it's about genetics. Like, how do you not think it's at some level about genetics? This is what we're going to explore today, because it just makes sense that people would think that. Okay, so here, go to the next slide. So here it is: personal decisions, structural historical factors, and genetics. So today it's the genetics piece that we're going to look at. Okay, to what degree does our DNA, the composition, our admixture, are markers that are unique to different groups, okay? Because Shiding, shy or she?
Just shiding or
Shiding. So Shiding, so he and I have different genetic markers, right? Tanner and I share more markers, maybe. And Shreya and I, all three of them. So we're going like, what is it about these groups? Okay, so what I'm going to do today is have a conversation that when the next person says like, hey, it's all about genetics, you have some way to respond to it. Okay, I'm gonna give something today, okay? All right, so go to the next slide. So first thing, evolution. Can one of you just explain the basic idea behind evolution?
The stronger ones survive.
Stronger ones survive. You gotta give us more than that.
It's like through time we're changing into like the main like okay, so we always talk about like evolution, but we also talk about like survival of the fittest, but it's not like the same thing, if that makes sense.
Okay.
But evolution is just basically like how we adapt over time.
Okay. Tanner, do you add anything to that?
Yeah, I was just going to say how we've adapted to change and things that have happened in the world.
Okay. All right. And creation? How does creation explain all of these? How does creation explain the theory of creation? How does it explain all of these differences that you see? Look out here in this classroom. How does the theory of creation, as opposed to the theory of evolution, explain all of these differences? Are any of you theists? Believe in creation? Well, go ahead. You don't have to. How does the theory of creation explain that? Come on, man. You don't know this? Not really. You don't even have a guess? Oh my God. Maybe. Hang on. Like all of you folks out there who feel like that the secular education is jamming evolution down and destroying the minds of our youth. Well, first off, they didn't give an especially complex analysis of evolution, so you're all good there. It was all right. They got the various parts. But they can't do creation. So, here, let me help you, right? I'll help you. There's a creator, and the creator creates everything, right? In however many days, doesn't really matter. Whether days equal millions of years, or it doesn't really matter. And the creator, at some level, would have decided that, hey, I want to see people with all these differences, because the creator, God, must have had a real big sense of humor to say like, yeah, let me have all these differences with people, and we'll let them just like duke it out and come up with all their theories about why that's the case or whatever. I don't know, right? It must be something. And if it is about genetics, if it really is, if genetics explains the differences that I showed you with family income or family household wealth and education and test taking and all that, and the creator decided, hey, I'm going to make some groups superior, smarter than other groups, and some groups dumber than other groups, some groups more capable than other groups, some groups lazier than other groups, right? Ancestry groups, racial groups. Then what's that say about the creator? Okay, but the idea of creation is somehow we get to have all these differences. And people break it down in these different kinds of ways, but whatever, it's there. And maybe that's what happened. I don't know. Evolution, the idea of evolution is life forms adapt to their environments. You have to adapt. And the life forms that are most adapted to particular environments are the ones that thrive, and they pass on their genes, and they continue to creating new generations of that life form. And then once in a while, there's just sort of some little bit of genetic mutation in that life form. And the genetic mutation means that being can do something that the other ones can't, or can survive in some way. And then that mutation, somehow, any of that particular species that has that mutation does really well, and then they thrive. And then we just see over millions, billions of years, we just see these changes take place, and eventually we get to this thing, we get to here, okay? Which is a mystery. And creation is a mystery, and God is a mystery, and evolution and science is a mystery, okay? And they're all theories, because evolution's a theory, because you start putting these hypotheses out, and you look at it, and you say, like, well, it looks like this, and then you test the hypothesis, and then you build new ones, and well, creation, there's not a lot of theories that you can have, but nonetheless, you know, people have very strong opinions about it. Okay, so this is important. So now, we're going to go. So go to the next slide. So here's evolution. This is the fundamental idea with human beings and how we got to be different. First off, if it's creation, then it's just, well, God or whatever the creator just decided that we're going to have all these differences. So, okay, great. There's not much more you can say to that. But here we go. So human beings, Homo sapiens, emerged right here. See all the red. And before Homo sapiens is the Neanderthals, and then Homo erectus. And we sort of see they spread all up into here. But Homo sapiens emerged at this time, 200,000 more or less years ago, right around this area, and just merged, just traveled in all these different directions, okay? This is where we first see the initial fossils of what becomes us, modern-day human beings. And the oldest we find is 200 to 250,000 years ago. This map's a little old. People keep finding new things. And then they start traveling around. So humans, Homo sapiens, start traveling all over, down here into Asia, into the islands, up across the Bering Strait, into the Americas, and we're populating the entire planet. And as we populate the planet, our bodies are adapting to different conditions, which is key. All right? So here. So take a look at this, right? All right, go to the next slide. So which one is shedding? Which one's Chinese and which one's Native American?
I don't know.
Come on, man, you're our expert here.
The right one, I think.
The right one? You think the right one is?
From the.
You think Chinese?
I don't know. From the background, I will say is the left one. I don't know.
What do you think? You can just leave your mics on. Doesn't matter.
I'm going to say the right one.
The right one is Chinese?
Yeah.
Yeah? Shreya?
I can't even tell.
Yeah? Okay, well here. Look here. Let me show you something. Can you go back? So here's what happens. Homo erectus, traveling around, go up here, we go this way, at some point get stuck here, and then at some point cross over the Bering Strait. So the people who are living here strand, not everybody, right, but they cross over here, and they come down into the Americas, all right? So the DNA, so go forward one, the DNA of this woman here, she's Navajo, she's Native American, she's Chinese, okay? Han Chinese, which is the dominant ethnic group in China. So you don't see much of a difference. Go backwards. You don't see much of a difference because right here, in 25,000 years or so, more or less, there's not enough time for her, in that amount of time that we've populated the Americas, her genetic admixture hasn't changed at all. It didn't adapt in any way. So, okay, go forward. So, therefore, they look very much the same. They're the same. If we do genetic testing on them, they're largely the same. So then what's it mean? She's American, she's Asian. So hold that in your minds. She's American, she's indigenous to the Americas, she's Asian here. Okay? I should turn this way so you guys can see. All right? So she's indigenous to the Americas, she's indigenous to Asia. Now, we have all these racial groups. We have the Americans, Native Americans, Native Asians, two completely separate parts of the world. They're the same people. Okay? So when we're talking about genetics, think about this. We talk about genetics and the genetics of groups and genetics impacting human behavior. Understand that these women right here, they're genetically the same. So whatever is happening on the Native American reservation, remember, she's making, on average, on her reservation, 8 cents to every dollar that white people make. 8 cents to every dollar, that's her. So you think, what's wrong with Native Americans? Maybe that's their DNA. Maybe it's something here. Maybe, what's going on with them? It's all about genetics. Oh, maybe it is genetics. But if it's genetics, then whatever she does, whatever outcome she has, she should have the same outcome. Because they're genetically the same. You got it. You got that, right? Any questions here? Does that make sense? Yeah. So it's like, okay, remember that. That's a really good way of seeing this. And by the way, I am open to the idea. I'm open to every idea. There's not a single idea that I don't open my mind to and say, hey, maybe that's true. Maybe some groups are genetically superior to other groups. Let me explore that. Maybe that explains some of this. You got to be open. You have to, like creationism. Those of you who are, 100% into evolution, right? You think like evolution explains everything. Well, where's the first spark of consciousness come from? And those of you who believe in God and think that God created everything, where did God come from? This is the mystery of life. It's a mystery. So it's all mystery. Just sit with the mystery. And the two can go together. It's not a problem. Okay, so here. Go to the next slide. All right, where are they from? Shreya.
I don't want to assume anything. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh, you can assume.
I would say like maybe Africa area.
All right. Tanner, how about you?
I would also say some part of Africa.
Yeah?
Yeah, me too.
You're just following them. Take a wild guess, Mal.
Yeah,
You went third, so you know they're wrong. I wouldn't put it up there if I thought you would guess. So,
I don't know, some south part of
okay,
Europe.
here.
I don't know.
Go back 3 slides. Right there. Go ahead. Right there. Watch this. See that? Coming out of Africa. Watch this. Arrow. Here, India. Okay. Coming down here. Whoa. Hang on. Whoa. All these Africans coming here. Is it possible that there are different lineages? People didn't all come at the same time. So maybe is it possible that there's, whoa, how'd you get way down here? Like, whoa, look at that. Okay, now go ahead. 1, 2, right there. So now, what do you think?
They can be from anywhere.
Yeah, they
right?
could be from anywhere, right? Okay, go ahead. Go 1. So they're all African Indian. They're called, we refer collectively the Negrito peoples, okay? Negrito because it's the Spanish, right? Negrito, it's not a racist term. It's not a racist term, by the way, okay? It's what all, the collectively speaking, so go forward 1 slide. Collectively, all the people of sub-Saharan African ancestry that survived, like maintain with their genetic admixture, right? Their features largely intact because people change. There are different groups of people who survive. We refer to them collectively as negritos. So go back 1, right? So here, they're from the Philippines. Down here, here's Philippines, southern Thailand, Malaysia, Papua New Guinea. We can go all the islands in there. We're going to find people who we collectively refer to as negritos, okay? So like, oh, they're Africans. They're African Asians. Oh, all right, hang on a second. Let's do the same question. So, genetic admixture in groups. They're Asians. So you see like how it becomes a problem when we start putting these words together that are supposed to refer to lots and lots of people. Okay, so here. So why are our bodies so different? Tanner, why are our bodies so different? What happened?
Well,
look at,
I feel
look
like
at, just look at like me and I'll shine here, right? Look at us.
I feel like it has to do like partly with what genetics you took on.
Uh-huh.
I don't really.
Okay. I think it's like where you live. I know like my mom told me this. I don't know if this is true, but I know like some people who live like in India still has like a darker skin tone than like people who live in America that have the same genetics or something.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's true though.
Okay, how about this? How about texture of the hair? Hang on. Oh man. Bro. Who wants to volunteer? Do you want to volunteer? Can you volunteer? Your head? Come here. All right. What's your name?
Marijo.
What is it?
Marijo?
Ario?
Yeah.
All right. So look at, Aria?
Marijo.
Ario.
Marijo, yeah.
Ario.
Yeah.
Look at Ario. Dude, I'm not going to touch your hair, all right? No, hang on. Come over here. So I want him to see you. Look at Ario here. Look at him, look at me. Okay? Look at his hair. Why is his hair like that? Why is my hair like this? Look at my hair. I mean, not that I'm going bald, of course, right? But why is it straight? And why is his really tightly curled? Kinked, curled, it's different things, right? They're two very different things. His hair isn't necessarily kinked or necessarily curled. It could be two very different things. Why? Do you have a sense of that? Do you know, by the way? You're talking in the mic.
I was going to say genetics.
Okay,
Same
but
thing.
why? Like, what is it? Like, why don't you have straight hair?
I mean,
Have you ever thought about it?
not really. I never really thought. I mean,
All right. Yeah, because it's just your hair.
Yeah,
Why do I not have curled or kinked hair? Have you ever thought about that? You ever look at someone with straight hair and be like, dude, what's up with that person?
Yeah.
Have you?
Not really.
All right, that's cool. Have you guys? Shedding.
Yeah, this is my natural hair, yeah.
Yeah. So, somebody, do you have a theory?
I feel like people living at the north parts tend to have straight hair,
All right. Okay.
and people that live in the south part are not.
Well, what's hair do? I can ask you too. Like, what is hair? The hair's on the head. So what's it doing? Think about what hair is doing. Think about what his hair is doing compared to what my hair does. Look, Ario and I go out in the sun. Okay, it's really hot. The sun is bearing down on us. Really bearing down on us. We both go in the sun. Who feels the sun? Who's going to feel it more on their scalp? Me or Ario? Me.
Yeah.
Right? Me. I'm going to feel it. It's right. Look, not just because look at that. You can see my skin up there. Not just because of that. Because he's got this other protection up here. So let's say this. How long do you think, when he gets his hair wet, when he gets in the swimming pool, how long do you think it takes for his hair to dry? Go ahead. Throw a guess out there. 3 hours. What do you think? For his hair is completely dry. What do you think?
I don't know, 2 hours.
All right. How long does it take?
I like 30 minutes.
30 minutes?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It takes a while.
Yeah.
It's in. How long do you think it takes my hair to dry?
Maybe like 10 or something.
3.
Yeah,
3, dude. It used to take 8. Now it takes 3. All right? So here, human beings, we didn't wear caps. Go back 200,000 years. We're not wearing caps. We have no protection. We don't have sunscreen. We don't have caps. We have nothing. So all we have is our hair. You got your hair, I got my hair, right? The hair plays a really important role because, bro, can I borrow your cap for a second? So if I have this, so if Oreo and I are out in really hot, sunny area, now we're the same. We both have protection. So I got this, so it's going to protect my head, right? Because the one thing you don't want to have happen, what happens when your brain gets overheats, Oreo?
When my brain gets overheated, like, what
Yeah.
you mean? Like, I mean,
What's going to happen? Anybody? Do you know what happens? Your brain
you
overheats.
get tired, like,
Yeah, you have a heat stroke.
yeah, he's
Like
sure,
it's
yeah.
incredibly dangerous, but you have natural protection because the heat, the sun isn't hitting your scalp in the same way. It's like your hair is taking the brunt of it. And the longer your hair, the thicker your hair, and the longer your fro. Like if you really pick it out, then you're really getting some protection. So if it's like up to here, man, you're killing it, right? But for me, I don't have that. And so what we tend to see hair is this thing that's very much associated with where our ancestors were, where they passed on their genetic markers to future generations. So whoever Oreo's ancestors were, and this is really important, people who like or dislike your hair, okay? If you have tightly coiled hair, are you, what's your number? Are you like 4C?
4C, yeah.
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 All right. Do you know what that means, by the way? You know what 4C refers to? All right.
Not a clue.
All right. Well, you're going to find out. Your job is between now and Thursday to find out what we just referred to right there. So what happens is his hair is really tightly coiled or sometimes kinked. Is yours kinked or coiled? Do you ever look at it?
It's kink.
Kinked?
Yeah.
Okay. And when it's kinked, check this out. This is pretty cool. I'm going to do this fast. So are you cool?
Yeah, no, I'm cool.
All right. Man. Okay. Look. So you start kinking hair, it locks together. This is what locks are. You're locking it. Or if it's tightly coiled, if it's loosely coiled, then it's not gonna set up at all. Yeah. But if it's tightly coiled or it's kinked, it's going to set up. And the more it does, the more it really expands around your head and the more protection you have. And that's awesome. And so what we know about him is his ancestors were living, going back if we could trace back, his ancestors remained in Africa or in a part of Africa that's where it really made sense for him to have tightly coiled or kinked hair. That's why he's here. If any ancestors you had going back 40,000 years, 30,000, who look like me, they're dead. They died. They didn't pass their genes on. So for me, it wouldn't have mattered. Like you can be in the north and it doesn't really matter. But so you see that, right? So see how it's a good thing. Our looks are a good thing. Dude, thanks, man.
Yeah, no problem.
I could keep you up here for the next one, but I won't. All right. Thanks. Hey, Oreo, make sure you see G after class, all right? So can we go then? So you get that, right? You see that? So you also see that when I look at differences in people, I look at their noses, I look at their eyes, I look at their skin, I look at their hair. All I see are ancestors. I don't see one's better than another. They're all just the way our bodies adapted differently to certain situations, okay? So here, can you go, do you have any questions on that? Do you have any questions about his hair? What'd you learn from that? Right there. All right, what'd you learn from that?
His hair is 4C.
All right. You want to know what else you learn? You can talk about this stuff. This is just science, right? It's just science. It doesn't really matter. Here, go to the next one. Look at skin. Do you have any idea why some people have really darkly pigmented skin and some people have lightly pigmented skin? You gotta have something. Do you not have anything? None of you?
Is it like the climate, like near the equator?
Okay.
hot. It's
All
hotter.
right. And
It has more exposure to sunlight. so
and
your,
why and how does that lead to different
so your body
pigmentations?
produces more it's more melanin, right?
Okay. All right, more melanin.
Mhm.
Okay. In order to do what?
Better defend against the sun.
Dude, this guy. See that? I knew you were good for something. All right, exactly, man. Because listen, skin cancer is not a brand new thing. Skin cancer didn't just start back in the 1980s when people first started saying like, oh my God, you got to protect yourself from the skin. Wear all this lotion and stuff. Skin cancer's been around forever. We need UV rays because that produces calcium and folic acid, and it's really important for vitamin D, synthesizing vitamin D, the whole thing. We need sun's rays. But if you get too many sun rays, then you run the risk of the ultraviolet rays, and then this is a problem. It breaks our skin down, it turns into cancers. But what we see here is that, look, isn't it funny? The darkest, most darkly pigmented skins, on average, are right in here, right in this wave of the equator, okay? And as you go further north, it gets lighter. Why does it get lighter further north?
Because the sun's like the hottest at the equator.
Yeah, but why is it why is it that I have light skin? And Allshine doesn't, Oreo doesn't. Why do I have lighter skin?
Because you don't have to involve black skin to defend the sunlight.
My body doesn't need to produce the melanin, which just happens to create a pigmentation that turns it darker. Okay? So my body doesn't really need that. And so, in fact, what my body needs is more sun. Like I'm in the northern part, the northern equator, I need more sun. Because I need that sun, I need those rays because I need folic acid, vitamin D, calcium, etc. So listen, what would you say to Allshine right here? Look at him, man. What would you say to him? Can you put... No, hang on. Oreo. Remember Oreo? What would you say to him? We're headed into the winter time. And Oreo, who has really darkly pigmented skin, we'll go with Allshine right here, since he's on the... What would you say to him, man? What are you going to say to him? What advice would you have for him? What would you say? It's wintertime. Look, his body is adapted for here, okay? But now he's living in the north. And then the winters in State College, you don't get a lot of sun. You need a lot of sun. So he needs to make sure he gets out in the sun. So like people with really light skin, we need to protect ourselves from the sun. People who are really darkly pigmented, you need those sun rays because you need the calcium and vitamin D and folic acid. You see how that works? So it's all good. And then people in between, brown people, you're all kind of have very similar skin tones, by the way. So I would say. All right, man. So listen, let's go to the next slide. We're going to get to some inequality. Oh, by the way, can you go? We're going to do one more thing. The epicanthic eye fold. Do you know where that's from, bro? Do you know how is it? Can I look at you? Okay, take your glasses off 1 sec. Let me look. Do you know where the epicanthic eye fold's from? You know how you got that?
No,
Have you ever thought about it? The Asian eye.
I don't know, cause
You talk in the microphone.
I don't know why, but like the Asian eyes are always like brown, I think.
No, brown. No, the skin around the eye. Do you know? The fold.
I don't know.
Yeah. So if you look, can you zoom in here really fast on the two of us? Look. Pull your glasses off really fast. By the way, people, it's okay to talk. This is science. These are the bodies. We've so learned to be afraid of talking about differences because we live in a world where we think that some differences are good and some differences are bad. But in the world of science, differences are differences. They're all interesting. So if you look right on the corner of his eye, which would be like right on the corner, and right on the corner of my eye, he has a fold where his eye pulls down right in the corner. Can you, bro, I'm not gonna. Okay, right in the corner, okay? And what it does, because the fold, it folds the eye down around so that it pulls the eyelid down a little bit further. So you see this eye called the Asian eye, and for you it's fairly pronounced, not super pronounced. But for me, I don't have the fold. I have a little crease there, and so my eyelid opens up more. And so you have this thing. So I have like the European eye, and he has the Asian eye, right? And it's different for people in different places. And for some people, the fold is much more pronounced, and for other people, it's not. And throughout Asia, it's got to be true in China, where people get eye surgery, and they're like, yeah, I don't like the Asian eye, and so they want the European eye. Are people doing that? In Korea, it's like everywhere.
I don't know.
You don't know? Because you don't get. What's your major? Wait, talking to the microphone, bro. Do people have plastic? How many people do you know who have plastic surgery to not have the fold?
No one.
You don't know anybody?
Yeah.
Wait, what's your major?
Computer engineering.
No, that's because you're in computer engineering.
Oh, come on.
So say no more, right? No, I mean. Go ahead. All right. Look, but see, it's not just the Asian eye. These are Khoisan people, right? They're Khoisan, and look at, she has a similar eye. She also has very lightly pigmented skin, and yeah, it's really. So we see all over the world. Okay, so listen, go. Let's talk about race, okay? Human beings share 99.9% of our genetic material. So where would you draw the boxes? I want you to make up different racial groups. Okay? So you have groups of people that all share the same genetic admixture, or a very large amounts of it. You have a group here, and a group here, and a group here. And first off, how many racial groups would you make? Who wants to take that one? How many racial groups would you make? Look at that. That's your map of the world. So what are your racial groups? And for the home viewing audience or the classroom viewing audience, the same question for you. How many racial groups would you make out of here? How many are there? 3, 7, 13, 28, 150? Like, how many racial groups are there? Shreya. Just take a guess. You don't know the answer, I guarantee. And where would you draw your lines? Where would be your boxes?
I would say 4, and I would just do like 1 in between.
Here, do that. Hold.
Oh God.
So where at?
So
Right here?
yeah, 1 there,
Okay.
and then 1 like through the middle. So
Right
like,
here?
No, like horizontally.
Oh, here. Okay, here. Right,
yeah,
like
and
there.
then like there.
And then here also?
Yeah.
Okay, but you understand racial groups. So you're looking at differences in DNA.
Oh, DNA.
So that's what you're looking at. So we're looking at racial groups based on that are meaningful, right? I mean, we can make a sociological group, but that's not a racial group. It's just a sociological group. So, like we have North Americans, which includes Mexico, by the way. You have Central America, you have South America.
Well,
Wait.
if it's
You've been doing pretty well. All right,
if
go
it's
ahead.
by DNA, I would just say 1.
One?
Because isn't
Okay.
it everyone like has the same DNA? kind of
Okay.
thing?
What would the two of you say?
Like Sherry said, I would agree. If we're going strictly on DNA, I would also
Okay.
say 1.
All right.
Yeah, I will say yes. But anyway.
But look at us. But here, hang on a second. So you're saying that Alshine and I are in the same racial group? Here, dude, stand up real fast. Hang on. And then Phil, right? Stand up real fast. So you're saying that me and Phil and Allshine are all in the same racial group. Dude, would you guys say that? The two of you said that.
Well, if you have the same DNA, then yeah.
Okay. Yeah?
Yes.
But we have 0.1%, we're not the same. So now what?
So it feels like you should not
Yeah.
divide people into different group because of that 0.1% difference.
Yeah.
I mean, like the appearance, like the skin color are only
Yeah.
very, very little in your gene.
Okay. So look, here's a way to think about this, okay? I like that. Look, if you look here at us, here, turn around, we'll turn around to the class, the three. All right. So you guys are good, right? You're okay up here, bro? You should take a photo while you're up here of them. All right. So here, nature is kind of like a trickster, okay? It's like a trickster. Because the thing that you see, the external features, are a very tiny part of our DNA, but it's what we see. So you look at the three of us here, you assume that we're really different throughout our whole bodies. Our entire genetic code, the three of us, we have three separate genetic codes, right? Mix. You assume that we must be as different internally as we are in our outer bodies, because it just makes sense that that would be the case. But it's really not. It's a very small portion of our genetic coding. It's really reflected in our external features. So nature's like a trickster. So people are fundamentally the same. Thanks, gentlemen. Thanks. All right? We're fundamentally the same. Okay? So this is what's really important. So therefore, you're right. If we're going to come up with one group, it's just human beings. Homo sapiens is the singular group. In this attempt to divide us into meaningful categories of race is human beings' attempt to understand differences when we see those differences. Because when you see them, you want to just try to understand what that is, man. I look at the three of you and I just want to know, like, what is it about you that's different? Because I see difference. I don't say, I do, right? I start to say it because I study this. It's like, wait, hang on. I'm only seeing these very tiny differences, like Oreo, right? Like his Oreo. His hair, it's just a tiny piece of the difference between, he and I are the same. He actually, it's because of differences in genetic admixtures, it's likely that, can you stand up one more time? Bro, can you just stand up one more time? It's as likely as not that Allshine is closer to me. If you take our DNA and you code it, that either Oreo or Allshine, we're more similar, he and I are more similar than he is to Oreo. You got that? Or, am I getting it right, dude? Oreo? Oh. That you don't think it, but he and I, and you got to remember this, because of genetic variation in Africa, it's possible, it's likely for certain that he and I are closer, genetically speaking, than the two of you are. And you think like, well, how is that possibly the case? It's because of variation. That we don't see that. So like, but you see these, thanks man, you see these big differences. Or me and Yiji here, right? You just imagine, you're all so different. We're not different. We're fundamentally the same. Okay? So you guys get this, right? We're good? All right, so now. So here's would be the question, right? Yeah, it's like you see, people are going, when do you cease being European? Here, I'll do it over here. When do you cease being European and you start being Asian? At what point in time? Where's the magical spot? You know, we have Europeans, we have Africans. When are you no longer African and you're actually in West Asia, which is the Middle East? Like, see, we don't have that. Okay, so let's go to the next slide. All right, here's my question. How did it come to be that people of certain ancestry groups tend to dominate certain sports? Tend to become really proficient in certain sports?
I think like that certain country probably has played that sport for a longer amount of time, like
Okay.
ancestors and stuff.
All right.
Yeah, I would say that like different countries are more dominant because that sport might be more popular in that country. So they're
Okay. What about What about this? What about hockey and basketball? How do you explain all these white guys playing hockey? Once in a while there's a black dude, and then all these black dudes increasing, you know, a lot of white guys, but, you know, how do you explain that?
I feel like it all comes back to genetics. Like somebody who's taller and like slimmer is gonna.
Dude, you ever be around hockey players? They're pretty tall, not just because they're skates. Tennis players? Okay, so now you're back in genetics, right? Stay with the other one. What is it? Why these guys are playing hockey and these guys are more likely to play basketball? Why do we see a dominant of people of African ancestry playing basketball and hockey not? And football is a mix of lots of people.
Because of the gene, because of some gene, they are just better at jumping and.
No. Now, see, you went down that path again. Dude, look, these guys, here, ready? Listen to this, especially all you sports people. Ready? If these guys all decided that they wanted to be great basketball players or great football players, and from early on in their lives they never did anything but play basketball or football, then they'd be great basketball or football players. If these guys were given hockey skates at the age of 5, and they were playing hockey for as long as these guys were probably playing hockey, they'd be great hockey players, and they wouldn't be playing basketball. But as it is, they grew up in a culture, almost all these guys, where basketball's the name of the game. They grew up in a hockey culture. Here, 30% of Major League Baseball is Hispanic. Why is it 30%? 30 years ago, it was 10%. Why is it 30%? Why did Hispanics suddenly become such great baseball players? Because they start playing baseball everywhere, right? And here, why is cricket? This is the U.S. cricket team, and they did really well in the World Cup this year. You know why? Do you know why? You should know this.
There's a lot of Indian people on that team.
Because they're all Indians, right? Because like Americans don't play cricket, but Indian Americans play cricket, so they all play cricket. You don't even know what cricket is. Bro, do you even know what cricket is? Do you have any idea? All right, so look, now, go to the next slide. Bro, can you name any table tennis players in China?
There was just too much.
There are too many.
Yeah, like it's like when I was in the middle school, it's like everyone just play table tennis.
You're not playing hockey?
No.
You're not playing baseball?
No one.
Yeah, you're not playing baseball?
No.
Not playing American football?
No.
Yeah, you're playing tennis. You're playing table tennis. So the top table tennis players in the world are Chinese, Korean. Here's these two guys here. They sort of broke into the one guy's French and the other guy, I forget where he's from. Yo, hang on. Okay? So You play table tennis all the time. Go to the next slide. Let me show you this. So Laotians are among the smallest people in the world. The average height for girls or women, 4'11.5". Bosnians are the tallest people in the world, 6'5". So all these long distance runners, where are they from? Ethiopia, Kenya, East Africa. You know who these guys are? At home, you know who these guys are in Ethiopia? Do you know their? Would you know their names if you were Ethiopian?
Probably.
To hell yeah, these guys, they are like the most famous people in Ethiopia, man. Everybody runs there. And here, so we have people of West African ancestry. Like, you're going to be a little taller, they're never going to be here. This is the finals, 100-meter finals in the 2024 Paris Olympics. You will never see a Laotian, unless that Laotian is such an outsider that that they grow tall and they have different bodies. They're just never going to see a Laotian in the finals. You're never going to see it. These guys, you're never going to see it either. Because why? Because they're really stocky. They're never going to be long distance runners. They will never, you're rarely going to, you're going to be some people, but like, this is the body type here. So like, okay, there's nothing special. They don't jump higher. They don't, the best runners are strong, but there's nothing special, except that they're going to be a little taller. And these guys are going to be tall, they're going to be thinner, and they're not going to be short. Okay? So this is its difference. But now let's go to the next thing. All right. Check this out, by the way. Is anyone on the golf team here? Women's golf by chance? Anybody? So I was playing golf this past weekend. I was hitting some balls. Look at the names here. There was a tournament that Penn State supported. Ivy League, Harvard, Princeton, Columbia, Yale. Look at all the names. Where are they from? Dude.
East Asian.
Yeah, China and Korea. Okay, go to the next slide. Okay, here we go. Jacksonville State, Central Michigan, Central Arkansas, wherever that is. See any Koreans or Chinese here? No, because Koreans or Chinese are going to go to the Ivies because that's where they're going to go, and they love playing golf. They're not better at golf because they're better genetically. They're better because they love playing golf, but they don't love it enough to go here. You see how that fits in? The Korean parents, you're not going to send your kid to Central Arkansas and play golf. Like, you're just not doing that. You're going to go to the Ivy, we can do that. All right? Okay, so now we're going to go next thing. Now we're going to talk about IQ and intellect. Jeff, do you have a question from the... Jeff, actually, let's do that in let's do it in office hours tomorrow, okay? Because I want to get through this. Let's look at intellect. Let's look at the mind. So here, this is the piece. Yo, everybody. Yo, you need to understand this. You want to understand this, okay? So all you sports people, I just walked you through some of the things about these bodies. Black people aren't really good at basketball because they jump higher, all that kind of shit. None of that. Black people would be great at hockey if they played hockey in large numbers. Hockey players would be great at basketball if they weren't skating around on rinks up in Canada. And some of them who do play basketball are great at basketball, but hockey's the thing. PISA is the program. It's a test. It's given to about 600,000 15-year-olds every year. Okay, and it measures science, math, reading comprehension. It's real-world problem solving. So it's not an IQ test per se, but it's as close as you're going to get it. And look at the score. Look at who comes out on top: Singapore, China, Japan, Taiwan, Korea, Hong Kong, and then you start up here. Look where the U.S. is. The U.S. is 200 points below Singapore and China. Dude, you're 130 points Chinese on average? Are you guys 130? Are you guys that much smarter than us?
No, because Chinese parents just push them too much, I think.
Well, I don't know. If you look at this, we think like, oh, but Chinese are really, you must be really smart. Like, you know, it all comes down to genetics. Remember the questions on on the class last week? This question on the screen, on the chat? It's all about genetics. Well, if it's all about genetics, why is it that if we go back 50 years, the United States and Europe is on top, and China and Korea and Singapore and Hong Kong is down here? What happened in 50 years that flipped that? If it's about genetics, what happened in 50 years that flipped that? Do you have a thought on that? Do you get that? Okay, so here's the question. To what degree, if Singapore, people in Singapore are scoring so much higher than people in the United States, okay, then the idea that people have is, well, people in Singapore, maybe they're wired in a different way. Wait. Maybe they're wired in a different way. Maybe it's about genetics for them, because what else could explain that? Because we go back to genetics.
So I don't think it's genetics still. I mean,
Well, so tell, look in the camera and say why it's not genetics, because there are people who think that it is.
so a bit about me from Edison, and as he said, there's a lot of Asian people there. And the high school I went to was JP, if you guys know what that is. It's a very competitive school filled with a lot of Asians. So for me at least, if one kid did this, this, and this, and that, you're destined to do that and more. So I don't think this is really genetics. I think that a lot of people in Singapore maybe did really well, and then all these parents are like, dude, you gotta do well, like, come on, get your game up, and then kind of like did better.
You got a whole society built around education in a different kind of way, and putting resources into education. What's interesting about China, by the way, is that a lot of Chinese don't even take the exam. If they took the exam, the score will go down. But the part of China that is thriving in terms of education and the economy does extremely well. It's like, damn. The problem is we want to think that IQ is genetic, and it is at a level for individuals. There's no question that some of you who have super high IQs, or some of you have really low IQs, it's like you're wired in some kind of way. Like, that's okay for an individual. But when it's a whole group, it's really, really difficult. Yeah. Yeah. But the problem is we don't get away from this stuff, right? We don't get away. And we look at each other and we look at these physical differences and we imagine that they must be real at a deeper level. Here, do you have a question from the chat? Hang on, we're going to take a question from the chat. Hey, by the way, this is a really hard class for the three of you. It's fun. No, it's fun. It is fun. Yeah. But it's hard because I'm asking you a lot of questions that are really, really... Scientifically. Yeah, I mean, you know. Really what do we include when we talk about genetics? Well, common vernacular, what is included? Yeah, so what we're talking about is the way our bodies and our brains are wired. The way our bodies and our genetic admixture, right? All of our genetic markers in each individual come together in a particular mix. And then individuals in certain groups, like not just you, but other people of Indian ancestry, not just Shraya, but people of Indian ancestry? Is there a unique set of markers that you all share, right? Or for me, as a person who's primarily European American, are there sets of markers, biological markers, that I share with other people that impact my behavior? And what we're saying here is not really. No. Go ahead. Is there another one? Damn. Is there genetic, why particular ethnic groups have done better or worse than others? Yeah. No, not genetic, right? There is. In terms of go back. So here, go back to Laotians, right? Here's an ethnic group. To people of Southeast Asia who tend to be much shorter. They do better than that. They're not going to do better than others in long distance running or short sprints, but they can do really well playing table tennis. So there's a genetic explanation, right? But in terms of our minds and our brains, it's like, no. How to become large number of Ashkenazi winners of the Nobel Prize. Why? Because Jews are people of the book. And for Jews, being people of the book, it's education and thinking, fundamental, right? So it doesn't surprise me. And science, education, thinking, and science. So it doesn't surprise me at all that we'd see so many Ashkenazi Jews being Nobel Prize winners. And Asians why are Asians better at math, bro?
Because we got more training on math. And
When did you start learning calculus? What age? Hold the mic close. How old were you when you started learning calculus?
in the middle school, I think.
Middle school? Dude,
No,
it was 12th grade for me. And even then I failed it. Middle school?
yes.
You say that like, doesn't everybody do that? No, dude, not everyone does that, all right? Dude, when did you start learning calculus? In like
think
6th grade?
No.
5th grade?
I think it was like 11th grade.
11th grade.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. This is why the Chinese are going to take over, by the way. They're not telling us all this stuff that they're doing over in China. And here we go. Hey, can we have a round of applause for these three? Dude. Bro, hey, make sure